everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of a Designer podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest in graphic design news from around the web. My name is Adam. I'm a designer from the San Francisco Bay Area. I specialize in visual UI design with a little bit of illustration. I like to give companies character. And every week I'm joined by my co-host Terry. How's it going, Terry?
Hey, Adam, thanks a lot. As Adam said, my name's Terry. I'm a UX UI designer from the Bay Area, and I help bridge the gap between products and their end users.
All right. And to start off, we always like to give an update of what we worked on since we last talked. So, Terry, what have you been working on?
Okay, please don't laugh at me. Please
Okay.
don't laugh at me. I have been exploring TikTok,
All
and
right.
and I have to say it's super creepy fun. Meaning, I get more ideas generating TikTok, different videos or screens or whatever funky filters they have, and then I get sucked in of watching other people's TikTok kind of crazy things what they do. And it's actually making me kind of happy. It's making me smile because it's all fun. You know, so far I haven't seen that much like negative or anything like that. Well, so far I haven't came across any. So it's just a lot of fun. It just gives me kind of like different ideas. It's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, I can take a picture of this and I can take a picture of this, and then if this loops this way or that loops that way, it's like, oh, that reminds me of a scene of this, or oh, that'd be a really kind of cool article for this. So it has a lot of different platforms, and it's just wildly burly crazy, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So that's what I've been doing, is doing TikTok. And then finally I got the pictures back from the workshop. So I'm halfway done with my article. So probably give me another week, and that'll probably be up and running with awesome pictures. So I'm really excited about that. So that's it for me, really. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, let's see. I haven't really been doing anything. Not much, I guess. I guess not much of a update since last week. Um, I was feeling kind of sick this week, so I didn't really do anything really productive. No update for me this week. But instead, I do have a gripe of the week. And
Oh, what
yeah,
happened?
well, my gripe comes from uh, the badness, which is Yelp's UI. So I am lazy and I use Eat24, which is on Yelp, through Yelp to order food for dinner. Not all the time, but like, every once in a while when I'm feeling particularly lazy, I like to order out, and I do it through the app because, you can go find different restaurants, and you get to try out different things. Wow. So the problem is that when you use Yelp's app, um, you can go and skip directly from search to delivery. And so that's what I did the prior week. I went and I ordered some ramen because I was feeling particularly rameny that day. And I ordered it like around 3 o'clock, because I was like, oh, let's have an early lunch. And then I was like, oh, you know what? Let me check on the hours. Um, at the end of the session when I was ordering, I was like, oh, let me see if it says anything about what time it's gonna get here, because I know some restaurants are not open until 5 or one thing or another, but the app didn't say anything. It just said, it'll be ready in about 30 to 45 minutes, as soon as possible or whatever. And I said, great, order. And then and then I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited, and the food never came. And when I go and I checked the app, or I had to check the company to see if to see what the deal was. I checked their hours, and yeah, just like every other company on a weekend, they weren't open from 3 to 5. And I was surprised that the Eat24 app section of it let me even order the food without even telling me at any point. They're like, hey, by the way, this thing isn't gonna this meal isn't going to get processed, or the earliest you can get this is until like 5:45. But it said nothing. You could go and search through, if you go do a search for delivery, you can go and click on the actual uh, restaurant, and it'll tell you the hours and what time they're open. But if you're just using their delivery feature, it'll take you right to ordering, and it won't tell you anything about the hours even after you've ordered it. Like even when you want it, when it gets to the part where it says, how soon do you want it, it doesn't say anything. By the way, the company is not open right now. And so so then I had to call the restaurant. I was like, hey, where's my food? And they said, oh, we're not even open. We're like, oh, okay, well, cancel my order. And then I had to call E24 and tell them like, hey, I'm canceling this order. And then I had to, so it was just like and then I had to order other food, and I was, we had to go out and get food like somewhere that was closer, and it was just a mess. And all of it just has to do with that one little oversight by Yelp, where they shouldn't allow you to be able to order food without telling you. You shouldn't be allowed to order from that restaurant or give you the option of telling you when the hours are for the restaurant. And yeah, that was my gripe this week.
Yeah, that sounds like a major one. I would have to concur with that.
And usually I'm pretty vigilant about looking at hours and stuff, because yeah, that has happened to me once before, where I wanted to order something, but I checked the hours and go, oh man, it's not even open today. But this time I didn't even think about it, because one, I was hungry and so I was thinking about just ordering
You
food.
were hungry.
you know
So your stomach was driving the call,
yeah,
not you.
yeah. And so
Oh, that's
yeah, I
funny.
mean, that it's just a weird situation. So they need an iterative. They need to have a sprint quick to help fix that. But yeah, any gripes for you this week, Terry? I don't know. Do you have any?
Nope.
I didn't think so. Okay,
Nope.
so let's get into the news. Terry, what articles do you have this week?
Okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm gonna go with Rise of the Meta Designer, and it is by Uday Gashindar, and he goes into talking about. I like his first line. It's very interesting. So his first line is, it's often said that one should not go meta because things simply go too abstract and unwillingly in the mind trying to make sense all of it all at varied levels or dimension. Even that by sentence, it kind of brings me back of like, what is UX, or or where is it going, where is our industry going, and that just kind of goes off like anywhere, right? So anyways, um he goes into more talk about like the algorithms, the automation, about designing is becoming increasingly routine and predictable, right? So as he continues, um, he talks about how we use symbol libraries to actually use usability testing, and then what becomes of designer of us, so what is the reason for being, and why, so why do we design itself, right? And then he keeps on, he has a little quote in the middle of the article, saying, this is a profound challenge of meta design, actually designing the condition for good design to emerge and thrive. And that's what we all try to do as designers, right? To actually design for good and actually design to make something that our product to help people, right? So he keeps on he keeps on going into, how does somebody design the whole essentials, like the services, systems, structure, culture, vibe, and the process modules that both operate design into something that is tactile, or you can, ship it out to make it as a product or whatnot. So anyway, he keeps going into different aspects of outside the field view. What is design? Is it daily delivery focused, or is it a great experience for the user, or et cetera, et cetera. So this is, I do have to say, it's a lengthy article, but I think it really reflects of as a designer of what we can do. What is our reflection in action strategy, our process, and what are the principles of action to actually become a meta designer. um, the work. And basically, he gives a lot of bullet points of really good tips and like information. So I'm gonna leave it as that because it's a lot of stuff to really make you think about a different things. So I'm gonna stop there. Adam, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a super interesting article. Definitely left me thinking, right? He does bring up some good points, right? That, we keep saying, or I keep saying that we're homogenizing in the way we design websites and everything's kind of looking the same. And, we're playing it safe right now, especially in design. And then, so he makes a great point. It's like, well, what are we gonna do if, as designers, if we're all following the kind of the same, almost the same design system. And so how are we supposed to evolve in our field? How do we not get left behind in our field? And so this idea of like meta designing, or being a meta designer, where it's almost as if we have to become like moderators or conductors of design thinking or design thought, or leaders of our companies. And how can we be I guess the moderator of thought and be the leader. And I was like, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Especially if we're gonna, what's the next step, and how do we keep ourselves employed in the future, is to be the ones that, at least maybe not the ones that are coming up with the designs, but at least the leader of that initial concept, to then transform to the end product. But yeah, it's a super thought-provoking article, at least for our design field. And this is when I was like, wow, I was really taken aback almost when I was reading it, because I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think it's a really great article. And as you mentioned before, he brings like a lot of good points, and a lot of thinking. As a designer, because now after I read his article a couple of times, I'm just kind of questioning. It's like, wow, am I doing things right, or should I be doing another direction, or what? So what is the next move? But what always comes back to me is like, just do and just make for right now.
Hmm.
If it's wrong, you'll learn. Just make and just create and just do the action.
Hmm.
Always do the action first. So that's where I'm at with that.
I know. I feel like there needs to be a. Uh, I wish there was a better route which tells you how to get from like designer to art director. Like, what that path look like? How do we get there to then, what are the steps that we should be taking? Is it just years grinding, or is there like, how do we level up? How do we go from a white belt to a black belt? What are the steps? Who knows? So that'll be
Well,
interesting to know.
I mean, everybody has like a different pathway of like,
Mm-hmm.
some of your great UX UI designers, they're like self-taught, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
have excellent art directors that they went to art school, they went to Harvard, or whatever. But at the same time, of when you said, so what is the next step? Becoming a white belt up to a black belt.
Hmm.
The whole part of that is to actually make and do the action. Because if you're sitting around and just talking about it, nothing's ever going to happen. But what happens if you actually do the action yourself and just make things? So if you fail, well, who cares? You get back up and you do it again until you get better. And then I think that's how you become of an art director. That's how you build up your skills throughout the years, and just do that. Start with
Hmm.
that. I don't know. That's my answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. First, get really good at what you're doing now to the point where you can teach it to somebody else. And then, I guess, and then go from there.
Yeah. All right. So Adam, what articles do you
All
so,
right.
yeah, so what articles you have for us? I hit the mute button a
Oh,
little bit too early. Sorry, guys. Blooper.
I thought I
But
heard
bloopers can
something.
be funny though. I know. Bloopers can be
Okay.
funny.
So I'm going with this is called Lemonade gets a nasty gram from Deutsche Telekom over its use of magenta, says it will fight. And this is from TechCrunch.com. So this article is all about fighting over the color magenta. And the idea is there's this insurance company based in the US called Lemonade, and they're getting sued by Deutsche Telekom. Deutsche Telekom, also known as T-Mobile, which uses, if you know T-Mobile, they have this heavy magenta color for all their branding. And what I guess T-Mobile has been doing is they've been going after companies like crazy uh, that are using magenta, that are using, I think maybe even the T, like a T as like a type of just single visual element. And the article calls them trademark trolls. So I guess it all started when Lemonade decided to expand into Germany, and then I guess T-Mobile saw that they were in Germany, and that's when they decided to kind of go after them for the magenta, and they started to sue them for trademark infringement. And yeah, it's just crazy story. Like it seems that so first off, Lemonade isn't even using the same color that Deutsche Telekom uses. They use, I guess, even a more saturated magenta, whereas what Deutsch trademarked is even more of a muted color. But it looks like Lemonade tried at least three different times to um, to kind of make this variation of magenta, and they still got hit every time. And that right now they're even switched their color palette to red. And so Lemonade said that, you know what, we're going to fight it. It's not fair. We're going to go after them in court. And it just seems kind of crazy that you can even sue just for having a similar color, even if it's not the exact type of color, but even though it's similar, you can get sued over that due to trademark infringement. Um, let's see. I think they were saying that T-Mobile does have some kind of grounds because there is a thing where if a company is does a similar thing to what you do, you and tries to have similar elements that you do, that you could kind of fight that. And it seems kind of weird because Lemonade is an insurance company, but they say that, you know what, T-Mobile does have a type of insurance service that it offers. It says it offers insurance on digital services like cybersecurity, and it sells policies to cover your tech gadgets and specifically devices. And yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting thing that's happening right now. Um, it seems kind of weird that if you're like a startup company and you know you work really hard on your branding and your messaging and everything, and then all of a sudden you get sued by another company because of a color, even if it's just because it's a similar color. That seems insane to me. And even if you have, I also heard that, you know, like an issue that might be coming up in the future too could be the type of logo marks. Like for example, if you're a company that sells dartboards, and you have a graphic that's very similar to Target can kind of go after you for having a similar looking design to them. And so it seems like that. It'd be interesting just to see what develops, see if Lemonade is able to beat this. And yeah, I don't agree with at least Deutsche Telekom on this. So Terry, what do you think about suing over Magenta?
Ooh, well, the Dutch telecom is T-Mobile,
Hmm.
and I use T-Mobile. So I'm actually one of their customers. This is kind of funny, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I guess T-Mobile, they just like their branding a lot, and they just want to make sure it's theirs.
Hmm.
I mean, if they're going after Lemonade and stuff, I think they really want to ensure that that's their brand and nobody wants to take that away from them, I guess. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that I can think of that, they want to be like a powerhouse, like all over the world, like we're taking over the world, and their pink, that that color pink is very important to them. That's what I get out of that.
Yeah, it's insane. I
It's
do
kind of
find it.
crazy.
Yeah, I do find it kind of crazy that one, you can do that, that it's even a thing that can be done. Because if you look at other industries, colors are used, like everybody, most food companies use red of some sort, and they're all very similar. There are industry standards that you see throughout the industry anyway, like let's see, I don't know, tech seems to be like a lot of purple and blue sometimes. Finance is
Hmm.
green, a lot of the times, green and blues kind of dominate every industry. um you know I wonder how is it in like fashion and makeup, because there seems to be a lot of those are all based off of different colors, and I don't know. I definitely am gonna follow this. I want to know what happens uh,
Hmm.
to to the little lemonade that's standing its ground. See, lemonade stand. See what I did there?
Yeah. No, it's kind of funny because I just read like one of the comments was like 6 days ago. I mean, I thought this was, I'm not going to say it's funny, it's not funny, but what I'm going to read is like T-Mobile, the liars of service are upset because a company used the universal color of pink. Hell, what's the next sue? Everyone with breast cancer too? I mean,
Yeah.
that makes actually a really good point. Just that statement there itself is like, yeah, they're using pink, so you're gonna sue everyone that has breast cancer too. So it's kind of it's a very interesting. It's like a seesaw. It's like you can understand this point, but then you can understand this point, and you understand this point, and then you go to this point. So maybe this is like a no win-win, like like what's better, Mac or a PC argument,
Hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely follow it. I think that'll be really interesting to see what would be the final outcome, if there is an outcome.
I know. What if it just gets thrown out? So, well,
Yeah, it
hopefully.
could be.
Yeah. All right, so that's called Lemonade Gets a Nasty Gram from Deutsche Telekom over its use of Magenta. Says it will fight, and you can find that at TechCrunch.com. So, Terry, what do you have?
All right, I have one more. It is called Design Circle, inspiring design, transformation, diversity, and leadership. So listen up. Design Circle is a collaboration of leading thinkers, practitioners working together to change face of design for the next decade and beyond. So, Design Circle is a member partner to advance diversity and inclusion into the design industry. So, what I found was really, really cool about it. It is from Adobe. It's called XD Ideas. and it's called Design Circle. And it's xd.adobe.com. And when you scroll down, they have tons of fabulous members. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 12. There's definitely a lot of them. I'd say over 30. And it's called the Design Circle Scholarship Initiative. So basically, they are fostering more diversity in the design industry and more awareness about interesting design related careers. Is pretty much their top priority. And then Adobe will award 10 25 annual Color Scholarship up to work 100,000 for years to each recipient. But so anyway, the scholarship is just for the student and stuff like that. But what I thought it was really cool on when you scroll down, they actually have webinars and events. Like they have one, their first one is coming up December 2019, and they have January 2020, and they have another one 2020 in February. And mark this one down, Design Your Career, March 2020. It's a webinar. So you can actually register for them and stuff. And some of them, they're probably about an hour long stuff. So I thought this was really, really cool of them to actually, do it and everything like that and register and have different things. So it's really neat. And their form is very long. Wow. I'm just clicking the form. You got to give them your email, first name, last name, job title, direct phone, organization name, employee range, zip code, country, department, and industry. They're all required. So, yes. So, what do you think, Adam?
Yeah, this seems pretty nice. It seems like they have a lot of cool members as well. Like I see Erica Hall's here. I see they have Fabricio Teixeira here, and I was like, wow, they really say what you will about Adobe, they do try to be as inclusive as possible, or as they try to provide as many resources as possible, and so you can't knock them on that. Um, I love the webinars. I also want to register for the Design Your Career webinar. Unfortunately, they don't let you. Although they tell you, they give you the links for register now, you really could only sign up for building equitable systems and inclusive teams. At least right now, I think it also says like you have to like register before you have the options to no, I think you could only do one, and then as soon as they're announced, then you can sign up for them. But at least if you want, the first webinar that they have is called "Building Equitable Systems and Inclusive Teams," and so that also seems kind of interesting. I might sign up for that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with webinars. I mean, that's free stuff, free information, just like this podcast is. It's free. So,
Yeah, I love webinars. You can have them on while you're at work, minimized so that you don't get in trouble. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely, like I said, if it's with my ears, I don't have to keep my eyes away from working. Yeah, teach like webinars is perfect for that.
yeah, perfect. So, what do you have for us?
Yeah. My next article is from typography.com, and it's called Tools Tools for Teaching Typographic Illusions. And so
Ooh,
a few
fancy.
yeah. So a few episodes back, I talked about Netflix's show called Abstract, and one of the people they profiled was a typographer called Jonathan Hoffler. He's is the owner of Hoffler and Co. and also the owner of typography.com. And in that episode, he kind of there are little segments where he talked about just different optical adjustments that are made in type, that that have to be done just because of just for visual, right, in order to look good visually. And so one of the obvious ones that you always hear about is rounded characters like O's or C's are always done a little bigger than straighter character or than the rest of the characters, like T's or H's. And so he kind of went over that. And so because of that episode, he actually went back and he did a few more. So he did kind of, I think, a list of 8 different optical adjustments that have to be done with type. Actually, it looks like it's 10. Yeah, 10 of them. And so 3 of them were from the show, and then he did like about 7 more. Um, that you can kind of do, and I find them pretty fascinating, right? Like I knew about the rounded versus straight characters and how those have to be adjusted. I didn't know about diagonal characters. So A's, for example, also have to be, what he mentions is overshot a little bit as well to kind of look better visually. And there's a bunch of different things that, and like the crossbar in the A is always kind of a little lower. E's and F's are slightly adjusted, so where the E, the middle crossbar in the E is lowered or raised a little bit more just to look better visually. And yeah, like you can go through all of them and see just the type of adjustments that have to be made that are so subtle that you would never notice, right? I find them pretty fascinating because, like I said, whenever I try to uh, get type and adjust it for my needs, right? I get a font. I was always running into the issue where, you know, it was always seemed a little off. And I knew that there were some adjustments, but I just didn't know to what extent. And it seems like almost every character has to be off the grid a little bit in order to look right visually. And so I was like, wow, that's insane. Which I think for me also gives me a lot of leeway, right? Because I could be a little sloppy and then just say, oh no, that's just me making optical refinements. That needs to look crooked like that for optically, you know. And yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. They also have a PDF of all of these. So he was saying in the article that he wanted if you wanted to teach this in your class, he created a PDF so you could print them out on transparencies, and then if you somehow have a projector from the 1990s and 80s, you could project it um, onto a screen for your class. And yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. Terry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I definitely love the image, the the main image of the article. I like those like chalk marks and stuff, and it reminds me like we're getting real to the art or real to the letters and everything like that. No, but it really makes you think of like how important typography is, how important type is, how important font is, and how um the whole accommodations of what a fight I mean not a fight, I'm sorry, of a font designer does. Well, that's true, they probably fight with the font to make sure it is compatible with each other. But I mean, it's just like, they have to go through like the character set, like the lowercase numbers, symbols, the punctuation. I mean, I just think a lot of us take for granted type. When we read, type is everywhere. It's in the magazines, it's at the airports and in the hospitals. It's just everywhere. It's in our cars, for God's sake, right?
Mhm.
I really think we just take granted of type of what typography can really offer us in a way. But I mean, just by the diagonals of like the A and the T, it forms just another like visual, like what it is. I mean, it looks like it can be like of a person right here. you can draw a person from this, just from the overlay from the A and the T. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, so what other letters can you cross and make something out of it abstractly? Anyway, that's just my 2 points or 3 points or many points. But anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the letters overlapping one another. Especially, it's kind of interesting too. Like for example, the eighth one, they get an A or two A's, the same A. They flip one. So let's say you're flipping it backwards, and then they put it on top of each other, and even then they don't align. So it seems kind. I wonder if since you have to do a whole font set, so let's say you have to do the bolds and the italics and, just a whole font set. And sometimes you're working on a team. I wonder if like just every single character is just like a random kind of, it's within a certain range, but it's just interesting to I wonder just the nuance of like just how different they all are, and if a different designer does a different refinement that the other designer wouldn't have done, or it's kind of it's fascinating. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm surprised it all gets done. And yeah, you're right. I do think I do think you're right when you say that there does need to be more appreciation for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just in general, I think it just has to have appreciation just for in anything that we do. I really think a lot of people take for granted of certain areas in their lives, and typography could be one of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So that was called Tools for Teaching Typographic Illusions, and you can find that at typography.com. Terry, anything else from you?
no, that's it. I have no cliffhanger either.
All right. Well, I
Nothing.
do have an update to my homework assignment I gave myself last week.
Oh,
So last
nice.
week
Is it?
I gave myself one homework assignment, and it was just to do one drawing, and I did it. So you can find that on my Instagram. Um, and so I'm gonna give myself another homework assignment this week. So I felt like I had enough time to do more, but I just didn't do more. So I'm gonna give myself a little more homework. So another drawing, that's for sure. I want to definitely keep that up. And two is to work on a logo. And I've been meaning to update at least the ramblings of a designer logo, maybe. So at least I want to take one stab at it just to get something out there, something that we could like dissect later. And so that's going to be my project for this week. And so I'll let you know how that goes. I probably won't post that because that'll probably be an update for later. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's we'll see. So Terry, where can we find you on the internet this week?
This week, all the time, man, all the time. Not only this week, no. Yes, you can find me on Twitter. My handle name is Flaxenink, FLAXENINK, and Insta, it's flaxenink.designs, and TikTok, just Flaxenink.
Oh,
Simple.
awesome.
Yeah. And how about you, Adam? Where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Adan Cepeda. That's ADANZEPEDA. And you can find me on Instagram at adanz.designs. And you can see my latest drawing of another MMA fighter, which is pretty much all I do. And if you find me on the internet, ask me how the logos coming along. Also, join us on our Facebook. We're growing a little by little every week. No activity there, but at least we have some. We're getting more likes. So like us on there, and you can get updates to the show. I'm even thinking about doing more like drawings related to the articles. I did one, and so it'd be nice to kind of follow up on that. And so maybe that could be a Facebook group exclusive, where if you join our group, that's the only place you can see those drawings if you like comic style drawings, I guess. And yeah, that's it. That's it for us this week. Find us next week and have a great week.
Yeah. Aloha, everybody.
Bye.